Well, it's back to the drawing board. I put the seal in the way that I showed you in the last video, and I could not shut this trunk boot. I struggled, and I even made, extra spaces for here, and I adjusted this, but then I still had a huge gap because up the top there, right up there, it's stuck up way too much. So what I'm gonna try, and it may be wrong, but I'm gonna try it, is to put it up this way. My thought is that this edge is easier to bend down when the boot lid comes on. The only issue I have is, as you can see down here, it's tucked in nicely, but here it's not. And the reason is, I'll show you, is that this lip is bent in. So what I'm going to need to do is bend that lip out without damaging the paint. That's not going to be easy. Yeah, you see it's okay there. Just down here it's bent in. So some tape on there and a little gentle prying and fingers crossed and large cork up my bum. And we'll see, because there, hang on a second, as you can see it goes in, well, you can't tell, but it's pretty flush there, whereas here, as much as I try, I've still got like 1/4 of an inch of it sticking up, whereas here it's what, 1/8, if that, and it bends in easy. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same thing as I did before with the tape. Tape it in position once I've bent that edge out. Yeah, I've got to do the same on this side as well. Not quite sure why that's bent in. That could have been done a long time ago. Yeah, that could easily have been done a long time ago. Maybe someone was having difficulty and decided to bend that in. But let me give it a shot and see. It may not be the correct way, but if it keeps the seal in position, that's what I'll do. Let's go for it. Well, I have made the adjustments on the catch and on the lock itself, and it looks pretty good. Now, could it go down a little tighter? Maybe, but I can't think how. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to put that the other seal in on the other side and see if it still shuts as good. And if it does, that's the way I'm going to put the seal in. Rightly or wrongly, that is what I'm going to do. And then I'll get rid of all these fingerprints that somebody's put on there. Me. And put the, I think it's called the escutcheon back on. I had it off because I was messing with the lock. Alright, let's get that done. Well, I have flipped the seal, and granted I only have half of the seal in there, and it is still a little proud, but then again, remember I have adjusted for the thick seal, so now I need to adjust it back to where it was. And then it'll probably pinch down a lot tighter, because I don't really want this, where I can get my finger in there. That's not acceptable. So my next job will be to put the hinge, not the hinge, the I don't know what the hell you call it, catch back where it was on the trunk and also on the body, and see how that closes then. That may bring it down even more. And if that works, then I'll put the other half in and we'll see how that is. What I did to get this edge back, I got one of these little clamps, covered the edge with tape, clamped it on there, and then just bent it. It seems to have done okay. I only had one little disaster, and that's a little chip here, and I can easily deal with that before I put the seal in. It's it's not bad there. But what I can do is, as I'm resting the seal in dry, I can see how it goes, and if I'm not happy, then I can bend it out. Now obviously if it's on a corner, I can't use this big flat thing, so I'll just have to use a pair of pliers with tape on it. Okay, all right, there we go. Yeah, and this, yeah, I moved that and I moved that, which, you know, I was trying to get it right. I can't think that putting the seal on this way around is a bad thing. If there's water, it will run down there. Dribble, dribble, maybe not dribble, dribble, who knows? The only reason I'm concerned about keeping water out of the boot is because when I wash the car, which I will do, I certainly won't take it through a car wash. I'll be washing this by hand all the time that I own it. And I just don't want the boot filling up with water for obvious reasons. Okay, let me now make the adjustments, see how that goes. If that's good, put the other piece in, see how that goes. If that all looks good, I'll show you. If it doesn't look good, I'll not show you. Here is a picture of the boot seal on Martin's car. And I tried to put it like that on my car, but I hate to say it, but I think my seal is a different design. I'm not saying better, I'm just saying different. So let's have a look. Hang on, I'm going to strap you on my head. I know you enjoy all this fun when I walk you around. So this is the way I've got my seal at the moment, and it's not glued. And it seems to fit in there nicely. I've had to do a modification on the lock because the seal is, well, new. But let's see, if I take this tape off and try and put this how Martin has his, which I want to say is like that, and that is really hard to push in, unfortunately. I mean, I can do it. And let's try it here where maybe it'll hold. See, there it'll hold. So what I'll need to do is try this all the way around and then see if I can shut the boot. The only problem, yeah, you see, this is the problem here. When you come to the corner, it's awkward. It doesn't like to lay nicely. That's a problem. I know it's silly, but this way it just forms around nicely. And I hate to say it, but I'm kind of inclined to go with it this way, although I appreciate that may not be the official way for the seal to reside, but it does push in. If I can get it right, it does push in nicely and give me a reasonable seal. And I've got to say reasonable because when well, the lock's not on at the moment, but when I shut it here, I do get a gap here. Well, that's not a very good, that doesn't show it very well, but let me show you. It's exaggerated. And when I say exaggerated, there you see there is a gap, but over time I'm going to be able to crank it down a little tighter. The only other thing I've got to do with this, if I put the seal in this way, is, hang on a second, in this corner you can see the seal is not in. It's not in at all. So what I'm going to have to do, pulling it up, what I'm going to have to do here is pull this out. It may well damage the paintwork, but I don't really have a choice. The gap here has got way too small. Now, yeah, I could trim off the seal, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. What I'm going to try and do is, with a pair of pliers with some tape on, is just bend this out a little bit. But of course this is weld here, so I'm not quite sure how that will go. If it damages the paintwork, I don't care. Well, of course I care. I'm not going to worry about it. And in fact, I may even have to grind a little bit off there. I do have some paint that I can touch this up with. And I'll probably have to do the same on the other corner. You see here, the seal sits down nicely. You know, it goes in, and that will stick. I'm not sure. Sorry guys, I'm jerking you around here a bit. Yeah, and there's a little, oh, looks like it's dinged there. So there's a little bit there I got to bend out. This I really do have to bring out. As you can see, going from here to here, the gap is ridiculously small. Well, not ridiculous, but it's small. So that's something I'm going to have to deal with. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get the light on the subject. And then it turns off. Ha ha ha. So let me try bending it out first. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to have to grind the weld off that's there, and that'll be Mr. Dremel, and I'll have to protect all the paintwork around here before I do that. Wish me luck. Okay, what I've had to do now, I put the boot seal in this way, and I've had to put in a spacer underneath this, which if I have to leave that in there permanently, I'm going to have to clean this up and powder coat it, because I can't accept that as it is. And I've taken this apart and I've blasted it. Now, of course, when blasting you get shit everywhere and it gets in, so you have to make sure you clean that out. As you can see, the springs are nice and clean now. This, I blasted it, I cleaned it in my parts cleaner, I then rinsed it in water, I then sprayed it generously, and I mean generously, with brake cleaner whilst moving it to get all the crap out that I could, and then gave it a good soaking in WD-40. And now she moves absolutely beautifully. It was a little stiff before, a problem I wish I had. So there it is. As you can see, that works beautifully every time. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to coat these springs in copper grease. So my next plan is to blast it again with brake cleaner to get off the WD-40, and then squeeze copper grease in there and also down in here, and then obviously on the spring, and as much as I can get up here. And it'll be a little messy to do that, but my thought is that once I've got it in there and working, it'll be a lot better than WD-40. And I'm not sure, and maybe somebody can tell me, I don't think it means War Department 40. I think it means water displacement 40 days. So in other words, in 40 days, it won't be there, which means I lose my lubrication. My copper grease will be there. There's a little unknown fact for you, or maybe a known fact, and maybe you are the person that really knows the true story of WD-40. And to those of you that keep trying to use WD-40 as a freeing agent, in other words, to free up a rusted component, it's not designed for that. They do make one. WD-40 does make one, but not just your bog standard WD-40. You want to free something up, use this PB Blaster. Okay, it's good shit, it really is. I used it on my gas cap. There was a screw that had been in there since 1964, and I let it soak overnight in PB Blaster, and this morning I could undo that screw. I won't say it was easy, but I could do it. Alright, so there you go. That's what's going to happen with this next. I will show you the gluing installation of the boot seal, but it's not going to be on this video. It'll be part of my next video. Reason being, I want to push this video out for you guys tonight. I try and push them out as often as I can, as you're well aware, and hopefully you enjoy them. And this will be another thing here, riv nuts. I've got my 3 riv nuts that I think I'm going to use most. I've got to go and get some screws for each of these, you know, like, I don't know, 20 screws of each size for those, and I don't know what size they are, so off to my local Ace Hardware as soon as my wife gets home and go and spend some money. Alright, that's the end of this video. I know it's not a very informative one, but maybe you'll find it of interest. So get down the garage, you know it, do some shit. Here, using my iPhone and a light, I can actually see what the hell is going on when I try and close the boot. Okay, I've turned the seal around and tried to push it in so that I get a gap here. Hopefully that then, when the boot lid comes down, that will seal it. I've got to do this all the way around and then refit the lock and see how it goes, because I've got to make sure I get a seal that will squish up. See, like this, it's probably not very good. I need to turn it, but there's not enough room there, so I might have to open that up more. Well, let's see if I can demonstrate it here. There. So I turn it like that and get a gap. That's what I'm after, but I need the room, so I'm going to have to do some modification. Alright, now I know what I'm going to do, then I'll try that and we'll see how that works out, shutting the boot. Next video. Thought I'd just finish off with that.